So, have you ever wondered how some of the most powerful AI is showing up right on your phone? And how does that happen without costing an absolute fortune? Well, today we're going to break down this really clever trick that makes it all possible. It's called knowledge distillation.
This has always been the big puzzle with AI, right? How do you get all that incredible power without the insane price tag? It kind of feels like you can't have both. But the solution, it's actually pretty elegant. And believe it or not, it starts in a kitchen, not a data center.
All right, to really get this, let's just forget about all the techie stuff for a minute. No code, no algorithms. I want you to just picture a really busy restaurant kitchen.
Okay, so in this kitchen, you've got this legendary master chef. We're talking about someone who spent decades perfecting every single recipe. He's fine-tuned every little technique. For him, it's not just knowledge, it's instinct.
And working alongside him is a team of apprentices, you know the type. They're young, they're super quick, eager to learn. But they just don't have that deep, gut-feeling kind of knowledge that the master chef has spent his entire life building.
So, the big question is, how does that master-level knowledge get passed down? Well, the chef just cooks. He shows them what perfection looks like. Now, the apprentices, they're smart about it. They don't try to learn everything all at once. Nope. They focus on just a few specific dishes, watching them very, very closely. And over time, they get so good at those specific dishes that they can make them just as well as the master himself. The key is, it's just for their specialty.
All right, I can hear you thinking, a chef? What does this have to do with AI? Well, hang on, because it turns out this whole kitchen story is the perfect way to understand a really powerful concept in AI.
Okay, this is where it all clicks. That master chef, that's our massive, super powerful, and yeah, really expensive teacher AI model. And the apprentices, those are the smaller, nimbler, much more efficient student models. And those specific recipes they're mastering, those are the specific tasks we need the AI to do.
And that whole process, that's what we call knowledge distillation. You're literally taking the essential wisdom, the secret sauce, from that big, complicated teacher model and distilling it down into a smaller, more efficient student model. The student basically learns to copy the teacher, but only on the important stuff.
Okay, so why bother with all this? Is it worth the effort? Absolutely. The payoff is huge, and it really boils down to 3 big wins that make all this powerful AI stuff actually practical for you and me. First up, and this is a big one, money. It costs an absolute fortune to run those giant teacher models. We're talking massive amounts of computing power. But when you switch to using a smaller, distilled student model for a specific job, you slash those costs. I mean, dramatically. Number 2 is speed. It's pretty simple. Smaller models are just plain faster. They can take your request, think about it, and give you an answer. That's a process we call inference, way quicker. And that speed is everything for the apps on your phone or the tech in your car. And the third big benefit is size. A distilled model is tiny compared to the original. And that's the magic trick. That's what lets us run some seriously powerful AI right on your smartphone, without it having to call back to some giant server in the cloud every 2 seconds. But you knew there had to be a catch, right? It sounds a little too good to be true. And yeah, there's a trade-off. The student model isn't a perfect one-to-one copy of the master's brain.
What happens is the student model becomes a specialist. It gets really good at the specific tasks it was taught, but it loses all that broad, general knowledge the teacher had. So going back to our kitchen, the apprentice can make a world-class pasta dish, but if you ask them for the dessert menu, they're going to draw a blank.
So, where did this whole idea even come from? It's been around longer than you might think.
What's really interesting is that this isn't some brand new concept. It was actually introduced way back in 2015. But what's changed is the recent explosion of large language models. You know, LLMs, the technology that powers things like ChatGPT. Suddenly, knowledge distillation isn't just a cool idea. It's become absolutely essential. It's the only way we can take these amazing but gigantic models and make them usable in the real world. So look, if you take away just one thing today, make it this. Knowledge distillation is how we take the incredible brain power of a giant AI and shrink it down into a package that's small, cheap, and fast enough for all of us to actually use.
And that kind of leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? If we can essentially copy expertise from one giant master and distribute it to countless tiny apprentices, what does that even mean for the future of knowledge? It's a wild thought, and we're just starting to see how it plays out. Thanks for tuning in.